Hey, Brian and others doing the 50-day challenge. This is Leif Hansen with Spark Interaction, and I have to admit this wasn't my favorite book and favorite note. There was a number of really cool ideas in there, but I had some disagreements with some of the four agreements, or at least maybe different ways to look at it. So for the first one, which was about being impeccable with your word, I definitely like that idea, and it's an area I have a lot of growth in, particularly when it comes to making commitments to times and when to meet people and things like that. What I've found in my own life, though, is that when you are so committed to your word and what you've said, there can become a certain rigidity and inflexibility that when life does kind of alter what you say, you're on your way somewhere to be somewhere on time, but an urgent need and call for compassion comes up to, or you're stuck in traffic, or just things that you couldn't have really handled. Life isn't really run kind of as perfectly as we would like to. And I don't know if I'd ever really want it to be such a rigid system in life that my word always matched up perfectly with it. But taking responsibility and doing what we can to speak truly and to use words that we really believe. I think that's a great idea. The second one, I believe, was to not take things personally. Is that right, or is that the third? Yes, to not take things personally. And that's one. This is the one that this is the agreement that I disagree with the most. There's a trend in a lot of self-help books about being so independent from the world that you can kind of just not be hurt by anything. You can kind of create your own reality. And I think that's going too much to an extreme. I think we actually are interdependent with much of reality. And I think that the great point in here is that you really can pause and have patience and have compassion when you hear things from other people, when other people do things. You can kind of look at, well, what need were they trying to get met, and what struggle were they going through, and kind of look a little bit behind the outside. That there's a certain buffer zone, a gray zone, that you can kind of interpret or recontextualize what was said to you or done to you. But at the same time, I think we are we if we believe that we're part of a whole system, whether it's from whether you take a Gaia perspective on the planet and we're all one organism, or whether you take a more traditional perspective from a theistic perspective where we are all a body of God and we're all in relationship. The point is, when you open yourself up to love, to loving other people and being loved by other people, you want them to feel your love and you want to feel their love. And I think that we will take things personally. We will, because we all have free will. When people use that will to hurt us or to do things, we will know that they're as free as we are. And so, the example in the note where somebody called you stupid, sure, they may have been having a bad day. They may feel stupid about themselves. But if I respect their freedom, then I respect that they could have also chosen to restrain themselves and to not hurt me and to not call me something like that. So in that sense, there's a certain degree of taking something personally and calling somebody on their responsibility and moving in a process of reconciliation, telling that person, you may have been having a hard day, and I understand, blah, 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 but you're getting in there and some reconcilings happen. I've seen friends try and do this thing of like, well, they've tried to teach their kids, nobody can hurt you. And the result is those kids can actually end up becoming terrors, and they go around and saying, well, I'm not responsible for anybody else, so I'm just going to be a jerk to them, and it doesn't really matter. So that's my disagreement with that agreement. What's the third one? The third one is about making assumptions. I think that's definitely probably the one I most agree with. We just in general, why would it ever help us to make assumptions and make judgments? Um, I guess on one hand, you could say that's who we are. That's part of humanity, is constantly making assumptions and judgments about life. That is a toaster. That is, we're looking at things. We're calling things names. We're by being in relationship with reality, we have to kind of put our spin on stories on things and our story on things. The key is to not hold those definitions and assumptions and judgments tightly, but to have an open hand. And by having an open hand, we're able to be corrected, or like was said in the note, the best thing to do is just to ask clarifying questions. When we think we were heard, or when we think someone did something that's off, or we were judged, or whatever, asking questions, I think that's a really good way to go to get us out of false assumptions. So I would maybe change that one to don't make quick assumptions, or don't hold your assumptions tightly, or something like that. Let's see, the fourth one about doing your best. This one is, it's challenging to me. I think on one hand, yes, we obviously we want to do our best, and I really want to change that. I think sometimes I do things half-ass, and kind of just as quickly as possible. But in reality, I don't know about you guys. If I'm constantly thinking I need to do things my best, then I'm also constantly thinking I could have done something better. And there's this endless loop of dissatisfaction that happens that, for example, when I was listening to the notes this morning, I decided I'm going to sit in my bathtub and listen to the notes. Well, when that came up, it's like, well, I could be doing this better. I could have a notepad with me. I could be taking notes. I could be coming up with an action list. I could be coming up, it's like there's always ways to do things better and be better and get more out of things. And when I was in high school many years ago, a couple decades ago, I got in this habit of the kind of maximize your life and your potential. You're only using part of your mind, and do things better and strive for excellence. And in some ways it did me good, but in a lot of other ways it ended up creating this slavery of to guilt, of feeling like I'm never doing something good enough, and dissatisfaction and discontentment, and not just being at peace with what happened. So, and how do you know? How do you know when something was your best? So that's the other struggle I have with that one. There are some thoughts. Hope you enjoyed it. And actually, I'm going to end by saying this would be the four agreements that I would change. Let's see. Be impeccable with your word. I would say instead, strive to have integrity with your word, but not so much that you're not open to life changing you, and being changed. Yeah, being changed by life. Don't take anything personally. Don't jump to taking something personally. Don't take things too personally. Give yourself a time to ask questions and to find out what people's needs are, and to have compassion for why someone might do things. But have integrity and responsibility, and trust that other people are as free as you are. And so maybe they did have a choice in something they said, and we are connected and we can get hurt. Don't make assumptions. Yeah, don't make assumptions, but definitely don't hold your assumptions too tightly, and be open to your assumptions being changed very quickly, and clarify what you really believe. Get it out in the open, in the light. Always do your best. I'm not sure what the rephrasing for that would be, because I think it is good to do your best, but how about have fun, follow your heart, do it's, for me, it's something about checking in with my heart on what, for in a certain moment, feels like is the best thing to do, what the most loving thing to do is, what would quality look like in this context. Yeah, I'm not sure. So there's my thoughts for now, spontaneously. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this challenge. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to really have to give responses in the future, but I want to do some stuff like this when I can. And right now I'm keeping talking because my web browser is not letting me get back to the window that's recording. To stop this, I'm getting the spinning wheel of doom from my Mac. And so, doing my best in this moment would be singing "The Hills Are Alive." Oh, there we go. You guys are lucky. Bye-bye.